When winter hits the UK, talk quickly turns to the weather. Will it be mild or a deep freeze? Headlines love to mention the polar vortex and the beast from the east, but these are two very different weather events. Understanding the difference helps us know what kind of winter to expect. The polar vortex and the beast from the east are both powerful, but they have unique roles in shaping our coldest months. This video will break down what each one is, how they work, and why they matter for the UK. The UK's weather is famously unpredictable thanks to our island location and the constant battle between Atlantic and Arctic air. Usually mild Atlantic air wins out, but sometimes these two phenomena can push it aside and unleash a true winter blast. So let's start our journey into the science behind Britain's most dramatic winter weather. First, we'll look high above the North Pole to understand the polar vortex. Then, we'll travel east to Siberia to meet the beast from the east. By the end, you'll know how these forces work, how they differ, and what their arrival means for the UK. Let's get to the heart of what's really happening in our winter skies. The polar vortex sounds dramatic, but it's a normal, permanent feature of our atmosphere. Picture a spinning mass of icy air high above the North Pole, acting like a cage that keeps the coldest air locked up. When the vortex is strong, it keeps the UK's winters mild and wet. But if it weakens, often due to a sudden stratospheric warming, the cage breaks and Arctic air escapes south. This process can take a week or two to reach us, but when it does, it brings prolonged cold and a higher chance of snow. Meteorologists watch for signs of a weak polar vortex as a warning of possible cold outbreaks. The vortex itself never travels to the UK. Instead, it changes the weather patterns that let cold air reach us. Think of it as a puppet master, pulling the strings from high above. When it falters, the risk of a major cold snap in the UK rises sharply. So next time you hear about the polar vortex, remember, it's not the cold air itself, but the reason that cold air can reach us. It's the hidden force behind some of our most memorable winters. Understanding it helps us see the bigger picture of how Arctic air can suddenly invade our usually mild climate. The polar vortex sets the stage for winter's most dramatic acts. Now, let's meet the beast from the east, a much more direct threat. This isn't a permanent feature, but a nickname for when bitterly cold, dry air from Siberia sweeps into the UK. Normally, our weather comes from the west, but sometimes a high-pressure block over Scandinavia reverses this flow. That's when the door opens for Siberian air to rush in, dropping temperatures and making it feel even colder with the wind chill. As this air crosses the North Sea, it picks up moisture, leading to heavy snow, especially in eastern regions. The beast from the east is a specific set of conditions, high pressure to our northeast, and a direct flow of Siberian air. Unlike the polar vortex's indirect influence, the beast is immediate and severe. You feel it the moment it arrives. It's a wild force, bringing snow and biting cold straight to our doorstep. The name says it all. It's a true winter invader from the east. When it hits, the impact is swift, freezing days, snow drifts, and widespread disruption. The beast from the east is the UK's most memorable kind of cold snap. It's the weather event we all remember. To connect these cold snaps, we need to talk about the jet stream, the weather's superhighway. The jet stream is a fast-moving river of air high above us, steering weather systems across the UK. When it flows straight and strong, we get mild, wet winters. But if it buckles and meanders, it can let Arctic air flood in or pull up warmth from the south. A weak polar vortex often makes the jet stream wavier, increasing the chance of blocking patterns that trigger cold snaps. This is how a disrupted vortex can set the stage for the beast from the east, by helping high pressure build over Scandinavia and reversing our winds. The jet stream links the distant polar vortex to the weather we feel on the ground. When it gets stuck, cold air can pour in for days or weeks. So, the jet stream is the crucial link between high-altitude drama and the cold reality on our streets. Understanding it helps us see how global forces shape our local weather. It's the missing piece in the puzzle of Britain's big chills. Let's compare these two winter heavyweights. The polar vortex is the high-altitude driver, influencing weather across the northern hemisphere. The beast from the east is a specific ground-level event that brings Siberian air directly to the UK. A weak polar vortex can make a beast from the east more likely, but doesn't guarantee it. The vortex is vast and permanent. The beast is local and temporary. you can spot the beast on a weather chart as easterly winds and high pressure to our northeast. The polar vortex, meanwhile, is invisible without special charts. Sometimes they work together. A sudden stratospheric warming weakens the vortex, the jet stream buckles, and the beast from the east arrives. Not every cold snap is a beast from the east, and not every weak vortex brings one, but when they align, the result is unforgettable. The media may mix up the terms, but now you know the difference. It's a chain reaction, from the stratosphere to your doorstep. The winter of 2018 was a textbook example of these forces in action. A sudden stratospheric warming weakened the polar vortex, and 2 weeks later, high pressure over Scandinavia blocked our usual mild weather. Bitterly cold Siberian air swept in, the beast from the east had arrived. Temperatures stayed below freezing, and the wind chill was brutal. Then, Storm Emma brought moisture from the south, colliding with the cold air and dumping heavy snow across the UK. Red weather warnings were issued, schools closed, and travel ground to a halt. It was a perfect storm: cold air from the east, moisture from the south, and chaos on the ground. The 2018 beast from the east showed how vulnerable the UK can be when these atmospheric forces align. It was a national event we won't soon forget. The winter of 2010-11 was another dramatic chapter. December 2010 was the coldest in over a century, thanks to a weak polar vortex and a blocked jet stream. This time, high pressure over Greenland drew Arctic air from the north, not the east. A beast from the north. The result was weeks of deep freeze and heavy snow, disrupting travel and daily life. These events show that a weak vortex can open the door to cold air from different directions, depending on where the high pressure sits. Whether the wind comes from the north or east, the outcome is the same: severe cold and snow. The winter of 2010-11 reminds us to look at the bigger picture, not just catchy names. Forecasters watch for these patterns to give us early warnings. Past events help scientists improve their models and keep us better prepared for the next big freeze. Knowing the science is useful, but being prepared is vital. When you hear about a polar vortex disruption or a beast from the east, it's time to act. First, check your home. Make sure the heating works, insulate pipes, and block drafts. Look out for elderly or vulnerable neighbors. Check they're warm and have supplies. Before a cold snap, check your car top-up antifreeze, check tires, and pack a winter kit with a blanket, torch, food, and water. If the forecast is severe, avoid non-essential travel and consider working from home. Protect your property, insulate exposed pipes, and leave the heating on low during deep freezes to prevent bursts. Stock up on food and essential medication so you don't have to go out in dangerous conditions. Dress in layers to trap warmth, and keep an eye on those around you. Severe cold is especially risky for the very young, elderly, and those with health conditions. A quick call or visit can make a big difference. Preparation is simple, but it saves lives and keeps communities safe. Don't wait for the snow to fall. Get ready as soon as the warnings appear. The right steps can turn a winter crisis into a manageable challenge. Stay safe, stay warm, and help others do the same. We've explored the science behind Britain's coldest winters, from the polar vortex's high-altitude influence to the beast from the east's direct impact. Knowing the difference empowers us to interpret forecasts and prepare effectively. A sudden stratospheric warming is an early warning. The beast from the east means immediate action. The winters of 2018 and 2010 proved that the UK isn't immune to extreme cold. As our climate changes, scientists are working to understand how these events might shift in the future. Better forecasting gives us more time to prepare. Next time you see dramatic headlines, you'll know what's really happening above and around us. Look for the signs: blocking highs, easterly winds, and the clash of air masses. By reading the winter skies, we can all face the cold with more knowledge and less worry. Stay informed, stay prepared, and winter won't catch you off guard.